Running for the Bus is sponsored by Velovorte. Velovorte has a whole range of delicious, healthy and nutrient-packed products that I personally enjoy all of the time. Whether I'm having some of their cocoa overnight oats in the morning, or their mellow energy gels on a run, or even one of their Dibosco energy bars afterwards. Their variety of products is super impressive, and they've won countless awards too. So give them a go yourself with 30% off using the code RFTB30. And you can thank me later. Hello and welcome to Running for the Bus, presented by BKDMC, supported by Runner and hosted by me, Ben Kelleher. This time out, on our very first episode of Season 3 and also our London Marathon special, I'm joined by Evren Ozka, as well as a few surprise guests ahead of Marathon weekend here in London. Now, Evren is the founder and CEO of Mallet London and Everybodies Nutrition, who broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest crossing of the UAE by a single runner. Recently, he took on an epic treadmill endurance challenge and has been supporting future stars of the running scene. And this weekend, he is looking to break free at the London Marathon. Evren, how are you, mate?
Good to see you, mate. Thanks for having me on, man.
Total pleasure. It's lovely to see you. We were discussing before how we could literally be here for hours. We're going to try and keep it succinct today, on point. But we talk all the time about how it's going. I know I've been checking in. So we're going to get into, first of all, though, sort of thinking about, obviously you came on the podcast a few months ago. You came on Running for the Bus and you discussed what your sort of next challenge was going to be. Could you maybe sort of tell those who maybe haven't seen what that challenge was and how did it go?
Well, how did it go? It was an interesting one. And so ever since I started my running journey, I've always been trying to do things that I don't like to do. That's the whole reason that I run.
Sure.
And within running, it was like, what do I hate the most? And I realized that I hate running on the treadmill.
Yeah.
So after I did the UAE run, I was trying to think, right, what can I do to take it one step further?
Sure.
And I found this record and I was like, okay, let me go after it. So it was a 7-day record. Mm-hmm. The number I was trying to get on the treadmill was 846 kilometers in that week. And
so over the course of 7 days.
Over the course of 7 days, yeah. So it's a 7-day record. And yeah, everything was going according to plan, did the training, started. And unfortunately on the 5th day, I got injured. And I actually damaged all of the tissue and the nerves in my left shin. So it left me unable to walk for like about 3 months.
Wow.
So yeah, it was, I couldn't walk for about 2 or 3 weeks and I couldn't run for about 2 or 3 months. So it was very difficult recovering from that physically and more mentally.
Yeah.
So it was a tough few days because physically and mentally I was ready and I was like doing really well.
Yeah.
I'd done 4 days. So in 4 days, I covered 500K on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. And the day before this happened, I was actually running really well. And me and my brother worked out, who was there kind of calling out the paces, that I'd worked such a buffer that if I had literally walked the rest of the way, I could have got the record.
Yeah.
So I was like that ahead of pace. And to pick up an injury on it was like coming into day 4, towards the end of day 4, around 500K. Yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow, but I'm kind of getting back into it now, so it's good.
Well, you're more than getting back into it, but we're getting to that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, that must be just heartbreaking. Like, yeah, to have not only to be like, on that 5th day, and already have completed so much in that time, but also the months of preparation, the time that's gone in, right? Like it's the build up that I think is the heartbreaking bit.
It wasn't even that. It was like I didn't really at that point. It was more about me feeling that I let everyone down because in these events, as you know, I had like Puma was sponsoring me, which they still do to this day, and that they've been a huge support through this running journey.
Yeah,
charities were involved, other sponsors were involved, and it just felt like I let everyone down.
Yeah,
so that was the main kind of feeling, and yeah, it was just to get that far into it and to not get the record was very, very tough. And
that's where you need that strong support around you, like you say, like obviously the sponsors, the charities, but obviously also your family and your friends that were there. And obviously I know I was sort of in contact with you during that time and seeing you through it. And obviously, like you were saying, your brother was there and your wife and everyone else. So it must have been incredibly hard. I know like different challenges that I've faced in running and different things, but not to that extent of running for 5 days and then having to say and going through that experience. So it must be brutal. And
Yeah, it was like I've never actually been in a position where I couldn't take another step because I've done all of these different events, dozens of ultras and marathons, triathlons, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've never been in a situation where I couldn't physically take another step.
Yeah.
And that was the first time where I actually couldn't even stand up, because what actually happened was my foot was so badly injured that it was actually the shin. So it started in the ankle and it worked its way up to the shin.
Yeah.
And it started on day 4. I was around 450 kilometers into it, and obviously didn't want to stop. So I kept going. We was trying all this different stuff to kind of numb it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was working for a period, then it wasn't. And then finally it got to a point where I couldn't even like lift my foot up. So my foot was like almost like a ballerina kind of tiptoe position.
Yeah.
And any kind of flexing to lift it up, it just wasn't possible. Man. So I've run on like shin splints, stress fractures, like broken feet. I've ran on all that stuff before.
Yeah.
And usually what happens is you can kind of tape it into position and you can just keep going. But yeah, in this instance, even that wouldn't work. So yeah, it was the first time that I've had to call it a day. But yeah, I'm going after it next year and hopefully I'm going to get it. So we'll see.
I believe in you, mate. I totally do. And I think these things are, there to sort of help us find limits and then find a way past those. And, on that time you found a limit, you've not been able to get past it, but then hopefully over that time you've learned things from what you've said, and hopefully you don't feel like you've let people down. Like hopefully over that time you've realized that actually, the things that you're doing are extreme and, not everyone is doing them. And so, yeah, hopefully you'll take that forward because, I don't think anyone listening or watching this will be thinking, oh yeah, that's a massive letdown. They just see it as a growth point. Like, you know what I mean?
That is what I feel. I still to this day feel like I let a lot of people down, but yeah, I'm going to come back stronger. Definitely. There was definitely a lot of takeaways, definitely a lot of learnings. So I'm going to be taking that into the next one for sure.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm able to tough it out. Like for example, if I'm doing like 100-mile or if I'm doing like, a long multi-day event, you can kind of tough it out and like do something, but grit your teeth and get to the end. But in this instance, it's like you're trying to do something that's never been done before. You're trying to be the best at something.
Yeah.
And with that comes an element of performance. Like every day you need to hit 120 to 130K on that treadmill every single day.
Yeah.
So it's not just completing the time, it's actually showing up and getting those Ks done. So
yeah.
There's the element of recovery, there's an element of physio, there's all these different things that come into it. So yeah, I guess it was more of a planning and kind of logistics aspect that I need to be.
Yeah, I think you can look at those aspects and you can say, actually, maybe I was going out the block too fast and somebody else doing too many. Like
as always, man.
As we talk about a lot. But like you can look at that and you can learn from it. But as I say, I think the things you're doing are pushing boundaries. They're changing the game really, and I don't think you can. I disagree that you can look at that and be disappointed with it because I completely get why you feel that way. I see it, but I just think you've got to say, actually, the things I'm doing haven't been done before. I'm trying to break new ground. So therefore, those struggles are going to come. Maybe I'm not going to get it on the first go, but I'll get it the next time.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if, in the future, when you maybe get to a certain point, another point, you'll look back and actually say, yeah, that was a growth moment rather than a moment of disappointment. But I completely understand it. I get it.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll be stronger on the next one for sure.
You've got it, man. So obviously you mentioned before when you came on that, and you've sort of touched on it today about your journey into running, but like talk to me a little bit more about that, just for those people who maybe have not heard about it before. Like what got you into it initially?
So I actually got into running by accident. Like it was never my intention to become a runner, and I still don't really identify as a runner. Like I know a lot of people that are actually, I'd say they're runners, like, the people that are performance. Like I've got friends that were in the Olympics and stuff, like they're runners. Like I'm just out here trying to do my best, But so I was kind of in a different...
Isn't that everybody?
Yeah,
right?
I guess so, yeah. I guess so. But yeah, so I started running like 3.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was in a really dark place in my life. I was depressed, drinking all the time. I couldn't give up drinking. My drinking had kind of spiraled out of control. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I was doing drugs. My life was just in a really, really dark hole that I couldn't get out of. Mm. And ultimately, I knew that I had to change for my kids because I've got 2 boys, 5 and 6 years old now.
Yeah.
And I realized that I couldn't go on the way that I was going and I had to change, but I just physically couldn't. And I tried absolutely everything. Like I'd seen therapists and I tried different kinds of things. Like I literally tried to give up maybe 50 times and nothing was working.
Sure.
Until finally it got to this breaking point of like my wife kind of stepping in and wanting to protect the kids, because she said to me, listen, I love you. I'll stay with you to the end, but we've got 2 kids and they're going to take you as an example. I have to protect them. And I was just like the worst example you can think of, man. I was just like, on the outside.
Obviously in such a tough place though, right? Like the journey that you're on at that time.
Exactly. On the outside.
Sort of spiraling.
On the outside, I look really successful. Like everything looked great in my life.
I was going to say, like, obviously you've got like Mallet, you've got Everybody's Now and all those things going on. And people would assume that everything's just going great. Like when they're on the outside, they must think everything's super successful. Like you're a young entrepreneur doing very, very well. But really, it was obviously a really tricky time.
And it's tough because like as runners, when we have an issue physically, it's kind of easy to identify, right? You have an ankle injury, you can work on it. But when you have a mental problem, that's more difficult to address. It can be difficult to figure out what is actually going wrong here. So I was just trying to figure that out, man. And it was just a really dark, confusing period in my life. And I was trying, as I said, trying all this different stuff to try and, you know, fix myself. Nothing was working. And then finally, this was during COVID in 2021, I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to try some physical activity because I was 25 kilos overweight. I really wasn't in good shape. I couldn't even walk up the stairs without getting winded. So I was like, okay, finally, this has to change. So I was trying to like find different stuff to get me motivated and, you know, get fit.
Yeah.
So I was looking for like different marathons that I could do. And just to show you how little I knew about running, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the London Marathon. I think the London Marathon is soon. I'm going to do that. Like, as if you can just turn off and do it, you know.
I mean, that was like me when I did it. I was like, that's the one I'll sign up to. It seems a big challenge.
It's obviously difficult to get into, which I didn't know. But yeah, it was, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to train for a marathon. That's going to be my goal. I'm going to sign up for this marathon and train. All the marathons were cancelled, including London. I was in Turkey at this point and obviously lockdown, can't travel.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of this. So all the races are cancelled. So I'm thinking, right, if I can just go out and run 5K by myself, that will be like a good building block for me. So I went out, tried to run 5K by myself. I ran for about 6 minutes and I had to stop and walk back. Like I was literally, had no conditioning. I couldn't even walk up the stairs, as I said. So like running was kind of out of the question.
Yeah.
Trying to find something, can't find anything to get me motivated except for one race that I can see, which was a 100-mile trail race in the middle of Turkey. And I don't know anything about this world. I think I know about, as I said, London Marathon a little bit, and that's all I know.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 100 miles, that's got to be like a typo, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe this is over a week. Maybe this is over a month. Maybe I can kind of do something.
So many people think, right, they're like, oh, what, you doing that over a month? Like, yeah.
And that's what I thought as well. And then as I'm digging into it, I'm realizing these people are running non-stop.
Yeah.
100 miles, like what?
That's insane, isn't it?
That is insane. Anyway, I was like, okay, well, that was kind of the end of my running path.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find anything else. I was trying different things, as I said. I was like trying to see a therapist. Things were getting cancelled. And then finally I decided to give up. Like, I had enough. Like, I was like, wow, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I can't give up alcohol. I can't give up cigarettes. Like, this is a part of me. My dad drank, his dad before him drank. It's through the genes, that's it.
Sure.
So my plan was to get in my car, go get a bottle of Jack Daniels. Eventually my wife was going to find out and that was going to be the end of it. And then was probably going to split up. She was going to protect the kids and I was going to go on my own path, I guess. And,
when you say get in the car and take what do you mean?
Like get in my car, drive. Because at this point it'd been about 10 days since I'd stopped drinking. But at the same time, I'm like a ticking time bomb because I'm like, all right, if I don't do something to shake up my brain, I'm gonna definitely go back. So I'm trying to, figure this out. Once I'd kind of given up, I went and got my car keys. So I was gonna get in the car, go to the shop, get the Jack Daniels, and then just start drinking again.
Just go back to it,
Just go back to it and kind of accept that was my life. So I got my car keys. I was about to walk out the house, and my house had these glass sliding doors. And they were open, and my son came. He was 1.5 at this point. He came walking through the glass doors, and he was wearing one of my T-shirts, and he was like kind of stumbling over it. So my wife and her mum ran over to him to try and take the T-shirt off because they didn't want him to fall.
Yeah.
And he won't take this T-shirt off. He's saying, I'm not taking the T-shirt off. I want to be like daddy. And then when he said that, that was when I stopped and said, nah, Ev, like you've got to do this. Like you've got to change something. There's a small chance that you can change here. You've got to go after it. So like car keys in hand, I put them down and I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to go to that race. And this is the only thing that I can see right now that can possibly change my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there. Even if it's a 1% chance, I'm going to go there and I'm going to try to do it. And yeah, cut long story short, 4 weeks later, I was at the start line and put one foot in front of the other. And yeah, I was somehow able to finish that race. And yeah, that was my first race. That's how I got into running. So yeah, I kind of stumbled upon it during that race. It took me like 28 hours. Something happened during that race which rearranged the wiring in my brain, I guess, and
changed everything.
Changed everything. Haven't looked back since.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get to a point where there's really nothing else left to sort of give in terms of like being at such a down and such a low point, and then when those sort of things happen, like for your son, where it changed everything, like, and then obviously to be able to say, right, that thing that feels impossible, I've got nothing left to sort of do from here, so why don't I just give it a go? And actually you were able to do it, and it's changed your life. It's changed the whole thing. But just sort of listening to what you're saying there and sort of thinking about other things you said, do you think now when you look back at that time and you sort of obviously reflect on it being such a dark place, do you feel like angry? Do you feel disappointed in that time? Or do you see it as like a period of like, you know, like a part of your life that you've learned from and that you've developed from?
So when I finished that 100-mile race, I had two feelings. So the first feeling was like incredible emotion and like incredibly proud of myself because I've done something that I never thought I'd be able to do. I'm there. I feel good. Although physically I'm destroyed, mentally I feel good. But then the second half of me was a wave of just total disappointment. Like, look at all the time that I wasted. Like, I spent all of those years, like, just wasting what I had. And this isn't just in me. This isn't everyone. Like, everyone has this potential inside of them. Yeah. And I just wasted it. And I get emotional just thinking about it because that's time that I'm never getting back. Yeah. And no matter what I do, if I run for 20 days on a treadmill, that time ain't coming back. Sure. So now I'm trying to turn that into a positive, and I'm not wasting any more days because I wasted so much time just, you know, smoking, drinking, watching TV, being lazy. I mean, yeah, I was working and I was working really hard, but at the same time, there was so much left in the tank. There was so much more potential, and we all have that. And I just feel still to this day disappointed that I didn't put that to good use. Yeah, I feel you. I do see that. I think like when I think about my journey, I did a marathon when I was 18 and then didn't do another one until I was 26. Yeah. And I think like, but then I think about, but I went to university, I went traveling, I went and did other stuff in that time. And I think it's sometimes quite easy to look back at it and go, oh, well, you know, that's wasted time or whatever. But actually sometimes it takes that journey for you to find it, right? It takes that time for you to, and maturity to be able to see actually, you know, would you, younger you looked at a 100-mile race and been willing to do it if you hadn't gone through that experience, if you hadn't seen that. And, it, you know, whether you would have or not, you might have done something else. But often these things lead you in a certain direction for a reason, right? I think, you know, whether it's looking at that or maybe looking at the challenge that you've done recently, I think sometimes you've got to look at those things through a light of actually, they're guiding me along the way. They're showing me things. And I'm sure like these things that you're doing now are definitely going to inspire your sons in the future and also so many other people as well listening, like for sure. I mean, I'm inspired by what you do for sure. Like, you know, we've discussed some of the challenges I'm doing this year and I'm coming to you for advice all the time. So honestly, like, you know, I think sometimes you have to look at it like that. And sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. I know I can be. I look at certain things like, oh, like maybe looking at Tokyo, I've discussed if you see the episode that's gone out just before this,
was the one before Tokyo. And in Tokyo, it still went really well. You know, people looking at that would have gone, oh, that's great. Like you, like top 3.9 or whatever, under 3, which is great. And it is great. But knowing the work that you've done before, it is good. It is. And I made a real thing of not discussing it before, but I know we talked about it a lot, but I got like a bit of an injury before, like 3 weeks before Tokyo. And I didn't put it on social media. I didn't mention it. Today, actually, I put out a post because I've just started training for the Ultra. And I mentioned it then for the first time, and only just to say that we're on the right track now, because I really don't want it to be an excuse. I don't want it to be a reason not to or anything like that. But I also want to be honest and show that, you know, you do face things along the way. And so, so there's part of me that like looks at Tokyo and goes, oh, well, it wasn't quite the PB I was looking for. But then you have to look and go, but these things happen. Like Amsterdam was way better because it worked on the day. Things work out in a different way, a different route. I didn't expect to do so well there. So therefore, you suddenly create these new challenges in your mind. Actually, when you look at it, you've got to step back and go, well, you know, there's different factors, different injuries, weather, whatever else. And so sometimes you have to take just a step back. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to look at it and go, well, I don't want to come back at this and I don't want to have another go at this challenge, because I do. And we've discussed some of the things I've got planned later in the year, which I haven't announced yet. But yeah, I'll be coming back for it. Like, there's no doubt. But I think my perspective on it has gradually moved on from maybe feeling a little bit disappointed into actually, these are just amazing experiences and opportunities to really develop and grow from. So hopefully you'll do the same from those experiences and any other challenges, because it's never going to be plain sailing, right? Like from here, like it's no matter what happens, whether you hit certain goals in the next week or not, and we're going to get into those, but there'll be new goals, there'll be new challenges, and it's never going to be all heading in the right place. Like no matter who you speak to, if I speak to Olympians, Paralympians, you know, world record holders like yourself, nobody's ever said that it was always great. Like you never find that everyone's the people who've had the most growth aren't the people that have never taken risks and never got it wrong or never, you know, stumbled at some point, because they're the people who really learn from it, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure. 100%.
For sure, man. So obviously since then, you've become a Guinness World Record holder, running across the UAE in the fastest time. Tell me a little bit more about that challenge and obviously why you decided to take it on after the previous challenges you've done.
So that happened when was that? Was that a year ago? Yeah, it was a year ago. It seems like about 20 years ago, but yeah, that was March last year. So I just recently moved to Dubai and I wanted to kind of do something local around the area. Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself, what's the biggest thing that I can do here? And I'd seen that was like something that people were doing.
Yeah, wasn't I there? I just ran across the UAE.
I saw that was the thing people were doing. Like several people had done it before. A few people had tried to break it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and go after this. So yeah, that's what I did, and I was thankfully able to get the record. It was 5 days, 22 hours, 57 minutes.
Wow.
And
how far is that? What's the distance?
It's 630K.
Wow.
So yeah, just under 400 miles. So yeah, I was I didn't really have a...
What was that like? What did you sort of learn from that?
It was a really interesting experience because I'd never gone that far. And whenever you're going into the unknown, it's always a interesting experience. Mm. And it was more, the main thing I learned was how my body is going to react to going that kind of distance, because you're going all day, every day. I'm not that fast, so I can't rest that much. So I was only resting like 2, maybe 3 hours a day. And then the rest of the time I was just moving. That's
got to be one of the hardest struggles, right? Not getting enough recovery in. Like really.
It is, yeah. Especially if you're slow like me, you don't have that much time to recover. So hopefully, hopefully I'm going to get faster and have more time to recover. So yeah, going into these next events, that's the goal, is to try and be a little bit faster so I can have more time to recover.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just an incredible journey. And it's funny because I've been on social media for about 2 years now, kind of since I started this running journey. Yeah. And it's nice to have something to look back on, because we have a YouTube channel and we kind of like share some of the stuff. Yeah. Because thinking back to it, I'm watching the video and I'm thinking, that doesn't even feel like it was me. Mm. Yeah, it feels, I know this sounds crazy, but it just feels like it was somebody else that was doing it. Like, I'm not capable of doing that. Like,
it's crazy, right? Yeah. It's crazy when you have like a few weeks off of like running or whatever, and like, or you take a bit of a break. And obviously I was discussing before about that injury. It meant I had to take like a month off running, and pretty much. And you sort of like, I went to like an event the other week, And it's like I said, I hadn't been running really. Like I think I did like 2 or 3 just events, and I turned up and I was like, oh man, like this, I feel like intimidated. I feel like I've never run before, like because it was like a sort of speed event as well. It was on like a track, and it was great fun. But I was like, like the pressure, and it's crazy, right? Like it feels that you've never, if you take a little bit of time off, and I think people don't get this when they're like sort of saying about going to running clubs and doing stuff. They're like, oh yeah, it's like so daunting, and I'm like, I get it, because even for like somebody who's just taken a few weeks off it, so I completely understand why that first step is often so like hard.
Yeah, and that's why I would encourage anyone to document their journey, whether that be on social media, even if, let's say, you're not on social media, like I never was, even just like writing down exactly what you do, like how much you run or how much you lift weights or whatever it is that you do. It's always nice to have that record because, as we just touched on before, our brains are so good at putting ourselves down and saying, okay.
And just thinking ahead, right?
Mine certainly is. I'm always waking up thinking, I'm not good enough. I need to do more. You know, that voice is always there. So it can be very easy to put yourself down all the time.
Yeah.
So when you get in those tough moments in a race, this could be a marathon, a half marathon, or an ultra, you do go through those tough moments and your mind's thinking, you're not good enough. You know, you're never going to finish this. You're tired. You know, you shouldn't even be out here. Those are the voices that go through my mind, but it's always nice to remind yourself that, oh, actually, I've done hard things before. I've gone through harder things than this before. So it's always nice to have something, a record that you can look back on, and it helps you get through those times.
It's also like really good to think about that time when you went out and did the 5K and you couldn't run for more than 6 minutes, right? And you were saying about before, and you're the same guy that's just run. How far was it? 600K? Is that what you said?
630. Yeah.
So you know, you've gone from that to that, and that's the same person.
It's insane. It is
and
really
like,
insane.
People often will think like, oh, how can you possibly? And I'm similar. Like I said, when I signed up to London, it was 5 minutes, take a break. 5 minutes, take a break.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're looking at 50s, 100K in a couple of months' time, and yeah, it's just insane. I've told you before, people used to joke and laugh at me. They'd be like, oh, you run really weird. Like genuine, like at school, like I was not a runner and people would be like, oh, that's like, why do you run like that? You know, and now people like, I saw some people in Tokyo and they were like, the way that you run, the form of your running is really impressive. And I'm like, I don't know what's changed. I honestly don't. I look at it, I'm like, I'm not sure what's happened in this time, but thanks. Like, I don't like, but it just shows like that progress, right? But often you can look back and be really critical. And even now you can be like, oh, I don't know if that's like this 100K in 2 months today. I'm like, oh gosh, like what are we doing here? Like I was showing you the plan before and being like, wow, what is going to happen? But
and I emphasize to everyone that this isn't everybody. Like there's nothing special about me. I started off just like anyone else. Like I was, and even a lot behind than most people were starting. I was fat. I couldn't even walk up the stairs properly. My lungs were probably, you know, same color as charcoal. I was just coming from such a bad place. And now we're talking about hopefully running a sub 3 hour marathon this weekend at London, which we're probably going to talk about later. The only thing that I did was wake up every morning and run. That's the only thing I did. And I never had a program, never had a coach, never had special shoes or whatever. It's literally the only thing I did, and it's
also really important when people, exactly. And when people do start out and when they begin running or whether they're just getting into it, it's really important to just not worry about the time. Yeah. Not worry about all the other things that people start thinking about when they, you know, start training for marathons and stuff with heart rate and all that stuff, because all that can sometimes do, especially when you're just starting out, is really put you off and make you be even more critical because you're going, well, I'm not as fast as this person. I'm not doing that. And there's no growth in that because straight away you're putting those sort of targets but limits also to like what you can do. Whereas if you just get out there, you don't worry about it, you just start training, and then those things will come if you want them to come. And if you don't want them to come, they also don't need to. Like we've had people on here, like I know like Tasha Thompson was talking all about finish lines, not finish times. And I think that's a really important thing is like, you can just enjoy running. Like you don't have to go for a time and you don't have to do this. And for me personally, that's always been my thing about enjoying it. It's only been the last year I started thinking more about times because I've started to do relatively well, but don't really, you know, obviously things I've put in place to get there, but they've not been like, oh yeah, I've had to make lots of things. It's just been a gradual progression. And now we've really started to look at that, but you don't have to do that. And I certainly am enjoying as well when I have times where I just get to run and just enjoy going out with friends and getting out with groups. And so absolutely everyone's on their own sort of journey with that. And, you know, and as you say, if you want to go for those times in the future, great. But first of all, just get out there and run, I think. Completely.
Absolutely. If you can run a mile, you're a runner. And my first marathon distance...
Just want to remind you of that, because before you said, I don't consider myself a runner, right? And I was sitting there thinking, no, I disagree. Anyone who's running is a runner. So you,
well, it comes back to me always,
right?
Not believing it and thinking it's someone else. But if you can, I think that, as long as you're out there and you're improving, then you're a runner and you can get better. My first timed marathon unofficial was 5 hours, 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And as I said, I've got to this point now where I'm running considerably faster, and I've just been doing nothing but running every day. And days where I'm tired, I don't run as far. And days where I feel good, I run further. That's it. That's the only thing that I do. So this is available to anyone. Anyone can do it. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you're now the CEO of sort of rapidly growing Everybodies Nutrition. What brought you into that line of work? So when I started running, did the first 100 miler, and then I just started going crazy with the, as any addict, I was addicted and just started doing ultra after ultra. There were some weeks where I was doing like 3 in a week. So I was like really getting into it. And then being an entrepreneur, I was like, okay, how can I incorporate this into some kind of business? Because this is what I'm passionate about. Yeah. So clothing brand was kind of in my mind. That had already been done several times, but I was thinking, no, let me go into nutrition, because I noticed that there wasn't really many kind of homegrown organic brands out there. Sure. Yeah. So, and I wanted to make everything in the UK, which I noticed not a lot of people was doing. Yeah. So we created Everybodies Nutrition about 1.5 years ago. We launched, and it's been going great ever since. So we're set up in the UK and in Dubai. Yeah. And hugely successful. I have some various stockists and everything. And so we're trying to offer high quality supplements for literally anyone who's interested in sports. Doesn't have to be running. It could be weightlifting. We have cyclists, triathletes, everything. Yeah. Anyone who kind of wants to better themselves, high quality supplements at good prices. And that's what we've been about. Yeah, it's great. And obviously along the way, I know with Everybody's, you've sponsored some athletes to come over to Dubai. Yeah. For sort of different races. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? So we have a program called Fuel for All. Mm-hmm. So basically what that is every time you buy a supplement from us, we feed somebody in a poor country. Mm-hmm. So majority of the work I've been doing is in Kenya. Sure. And so, we've been doing that for around 8 months is when we started the program off. So anytime you buy anything, this could be through us online, it could be on Amazon, or it could be through one of our stockists. We feed somebody there. Yeah. And then alongside that, we've actually been supporting athletes that don't really have the means to travel to races or to have the proper nutrition and things like this. And I've been to Kenya, and it's so eye-opening just to see how much those athletes do with so little. Mm-hmm. Like you'll see them doing a track session where they're just like hammering like 4-minute miles around the track. Sure. And then you chat to them after, what do you have for breakfast before this? They're like, I just have some tea. Okay, so you had tea with your breakfast, but what was the breakfast? Oh no, just tea. So literally they wake up, have tea, and then go do a track run. It's like, that's insane. We would never do that, we're all about how we're going to be fueled and like carbohydrates, electrolytes. Mm-hmm. So we've noticed that because they're trained like that, when we do give them the extra support, we have a product called Activate, which is cyclic dextrin as carbs, and we also have all the electrolytes in there as well. Yeah. When they have that, then they just turn into superheroes. They crazy. Yeah. Improve their times drastically. So what you're referring to, which we done a couple of months ago, is we selected a few athletes that kind of didn't have the means to travel and were, really dedicated and good runners. Yeah. We brought them over to Dubai, signed them up to a bunch of races, kind of supported them through that journey. And they ended up doing really well, and it was just a good thing to be a part of. That's incredible, man. Of course they did. Like you say, they're like starting off but they're doing like the basics, like we were just talking about, like getting out there, starting off, and like not worrying about all the other stuff that comes with it, but then obviously bringing that in and bringing in the right nutrition has such an impact. It has such a change in the way that people do it. And I know we've discussed that and sort of different things that we've been doing, and those things have a massive impact. I was talking to you before a bit about like Rob Doughter and a lot of the stuff he does about nutrition, and I've been like getting to Rob over the last year, and the advice I've sort of said before, he's one of the key people I've gone to, like one of the biggest supports, because he's always been there. And he actually came on this time last year on this episode. And
he's just always given that support along the way, and it's made such a difference. So I think with the right support and making it accessible and making it useful to people is massive, and obviously being able to support, you know, people who maybe don't have the support that they maybe would need to be able to do that, I think is huge, and I think that's going to make such an impact. And I love it. Obviously on this show we have like our Deliriously Mad challenges and everything like that, and we constantly looking to like support people getting into it. So yeah, I'm excited, man, to see what can be done, because I think that's actually like such an important part of what you do as a business and like the growth. So
yeah, we're always looking to support athletes. So yeah, and it doesn't have to. You don't necessarily have to be, you know, winning the marathon or whatever. It has to be something that you're passionate about, and that we can see that this person has grit. This person wants to do this. So it could be something very small, like a smaller challenge, or it could be something bigger as well. But yeah, I want to be involved in not necessarily the person who has the biggest following, or not necessarily the person who has the most fans. I want to be involved with the people that are like showing up every day and like
100%
getting after it. That's who I want to be involved with. It doesn't matter about, you know, how big your goal is. It matters about, are you pushing yourself to get to the next level? And that's what we're all trying to do, right? Whether it's the person who's trying to win the marathon or the person who's trying to run their first marathon, we're all standing on that start line together, and we all finish and we all get the same medal at the end. So
yeah, and often you find the people that are like putting in the work maybe don't have as much time to post on social media and don't have as much time to get all those followers, because they're like actually doing the work.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think that's such a key thing. And it's no disrespect to lots of people who are, you know, have got loads of followers and doing great, because I'm sure lots of people are putting in work. So there's no disrespect to anyone, but you know, and like obviously everyone manages it differently. But I think, yeah, there's lots of people who are putting in that work and maybe just grinding away and not worrying about that because they just want to focus on that. And there's something to be said for that as well.
Exactly, 100%.
For sure. Obviously London Marathon is this weekend. You've touched slightly on your goal, sub 3.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Obviously, you've already sort of mentioned it. Why are you going for sub 3? What's the reason behind it?
I think sub 3, it's interesting. The marathon distance is the one that I've raced the least. I've only done I think I've done 3 or 4 kind of official marathons. Yeah. But it's the one that I love the most. Yeah. I just love the distance of the marathon because I think it's like kind of scientific, because we're all trying to work out, right, how fast do we go? What's the proper fueling? And it's like you have to measure it perfectly. You almost want your tank to be on just getting to empty as soon as you cross the finish line. So you don't want to go out too fast, and you don't want to be left with too much in the tank when you pass as well. So yeah, I've always found that interesting. And sub 3 is kind of like, you know, in the community, it's kind of like a big thing, like a big goal. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, you were kind of like the instigator behind this when I rang you that day. So yeah, going back to the treadmill record. So this is what happened. I'd tried the first time, failed. My plan was to come back and be on the treadmill around this time, so around March, April. Yeah. So I was just getting back into my training. Everything was going great. I'm recovered now. I had a big month in January where I'd done like Dubai Marathon. Sure. The week after I did a high rock simulation and a 60K race. And a week after that I did a 100K race. I was like feeling good. So I submitted all my applications to Guinness. I was like, right, this is the day that I'm going. I'm ready to do this again. This was going to be around February, March. And the day after I did that, someone I think it was in Hungary, someone just came out of nowhere and smashed the record. Yeah. So it was 8:46. Now it's 900. Yeah. 912. So this record's on a different bar now. Yeah. So I kind of I was like incredibly disappointed. Obviously it was another like kick in. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah. So I kind of had to be honest with myself, because it doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you're running 130, 140 a day, it's a big difference. So
yeah, it's a pretty big difference, right? It's like 80 kilometers.
Yeah, it's a long way to go. So I thought to myself, okay, I need to be honest with myself. I'm gonna have to go after this next year and get even more stronger. So I just tried to turn it into a positive. Yeah. So I'm thinking, right, what else can I go through in the meantime? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I phoned you up and I said, I'm thinking about, I've got to postpone the world record. I'm thinking about maybe doing the marathon. I might try and go sub 3. And then you said to me, and I think you knew the reaction that you were going to get from me when you said, to be honest, mate, when I look at someone like you, I'm kind of surprised you haven't already. And then when you said that, I was like, okay, no, I need to do this now. So that was in
it's like I knew it would get you. I knew it would get you because,
and you did.
and it's, yeah, for sure. Because, I said to you, somebody said that to me as well before I did Amsterdam. They were like, I know people who've done it and they train a few times a week and like, it's kind of ridiculous that you haven't already. Like, why? And I was like, okay, like just sort of took that on board and was like, well, yeah, maybe. And then when I was running around Amsterdam, I had that in my head from the start. All the way through, I was like, yeah, they got a point. I should really try it. I should give it a go. Yeah. And as you say, there's loads of people who do massive ultra endurance events as well. But when I look at you and what you've done already and the speed you've been doing and your halves and that's why I say that to you, because I genuinely believe it as well. And it's no disrespect to anyone else who's going out there and wants to do it for a different reason, because everyone has their different goals. But when I look at you, I'm like, yeah, you should be doing that. Like, it's kind of ridiculous that you haven't already. So, and I stand by it, and I look forward to you keeping that in your head on.
Yeah, so that was Sunday. I think that must have been like February. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this then. I'm going for it. So yeah, I think
you text me like the next day.
Yeah, I was like, I'm doing it the next day. So yeah,
it worked. It worked.
It worked, man. It worked. So here we are. We're 6 days out. It's Monday today. Marathon's on Sunday. I started the taper. I've been training for best part of 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
I've been documenting the journey a little bit on YouTube.
How's that like training differed from your other training for like ultra endurance events?
So for ultras, you just want to be going as far as you can, like, and trying to get those mileage on your legs. So
sure.
During the build up to the world record attempt, I was running, I think I was peaking out at like 240 a week, 240K a week. Jeez. So it's a lot of running. But for this, obviously you're keeping less mileage, but you're trying to run faster because to run that, because you're trying to hold that pace for 3 hours, that needs to feel relatively easy, So, and obviously, this, when you start the training and you do those, you go out at that marathon pace, you're like, this is not easy. Like, what am I going to do here?
Yeah, it's crazy when you start going out at paces that then start to feel relatively easier later in training, right? I think when I spoke to you last, when you last come on the podcast, I just started training for Amsterdam and I was talking to you about training on the treadmill. Yeah. And I was like, these paces are ridiculous. Yeah. Like I literally feel like I'm going to fly off the machine. And then I ran in Amsterdam and I think I ran faster and I was training on the treadmill at the time. Like it's crazy that development, right?
Exactly.
So
so I guess it's about trusting in the process and spending considerable amount of time faster than race pace. So the pace I'm trying to hold is 4:15. That's going to get 4:15 per K or 6:50 a mile. That's going to give me a sub 3 hour marathon. So yeah, a lot of the mileage that I've been doing has been faster than that pace. So now that when I'm tapered and carb loaded, it should feel easier and I should be able to hold that for 3 hours, hopefully. So
yeah, exactly.
See what happens. Anything can happen, man.
Exactly. It's just slightly past that point of comfort, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just slightly over the edge.
Exactly.
It's it's not an easy run, but it's you can sustain it.
Exactly.
It's just slightly past it.
And look, I know I've got it in me, but anything can happen. This is the magic of the 100%. Marathon. Anything can happen. Yeah. Like 2 weeks ago, I did a half in Dubai and I was going into that race. I was like, I'd done a mini taper. I wasn't running that much that week. I was like, I'm going to smash it today. I cannot wait. And I woke up, I was feeling great. I got there. I struggled every single mile. There wasn't 1 mile that was easy. It was so tough the entire way. I struggled through the whole thing. And then I finished the race. 2 days later, I went out on the track, tired legs, like no breakfast, just turned up. And I was flying around that track. Yeah. So you never know how you're going to feel on the day. Yeah. So I'm hoping if I turn up and I'm feeling good, then I should be able to get it.
Trust what you've done as well. Don't overthink it on the day. Do the prep. You've rehearsed it. You've practiced it. Turn up and just do what you want to do. Like you say, there's certain things you can't control. There's certain things that will be without, you can't sort of have an impact on. But just trust what you've done. And also, as you say, the hard days and the difficult times that you have make the ones that are great so great, because suddenly it all comes together, right? So yeah. I'm excited for you, man. It's going to be great.
I'm so excited, man.
I'm so excited. You on Sunday, being out there, man. Looking slightly ahead to the next 12 months, what are your other goals going forward beyond London?
So I want to get this treadmill record. That's the main thing. In terms of just running, if we're talking about that, I want to get that record. So that's like my main goal. And then I'll be doing some stuff. But as I said, it's on a whole different level now. So I need to get considerably stronger. So
Sure.
Right now, I'd say I'm in shape to do the old record, but I'm not in shape to do the new one. So I need to get considerable more mileage on my legs, and I need to get a lot stronger. So I'll probably be doing like mini events to kind of get me in shape. There's a couple of things in the pipeline which I can't speak about yet. I'm waiting for some confirmations from Puma and stuff.
Sure.
But hopefully we're going to be running across a couple of countries.
Sounds exciting. Sounds good.
That's going to be exciting. So that's probably going to happen towards the end of this year, and then I'll be looking to break that treadmill record going into next year. So
Exciting,
that's kind of what it looks like for the next 12 months. Just a whole bunch of running and getting stronger.
Whole bunch of running, for sure. But exciting as well. What is that drive then that keeps pushing you through at this stage? Like, because obviously you've got loads of accolades, you've got world records. What is it that maybe makes you get back out there and say, okay, I want to go for this next thing?
I just have this voice in my mind every day that just tells me that I'm not good enough and that I need to keep on doing more. I need to push myself. I need to carry on doing it. And it's funny, you know, when we say about always putting our accomplishments down, I'm really good at doing that. Like I'll have these big goals, like running across the UAE, for example. Like looking to that goal before I'd done it, I was thinking to myself, this is impossible. How can anyone even do this?
Yeah.
It's such a big goal. And then once I did it, about a week later, I was looking back thinking, well, it's not really that impressive. Like probably anyone can do this. So I'm always putting myself down. So that is a bad thing, but I think it's also a good thing because I can continue to push myself, which I don't necessarily think is bad.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of that and a combination of all that time I wasted, man. All those 10, 15 years of just like being lazy, destroying my body, you know, just literally wasting time and wasting what I had.
Yeah.
So
and thinking about time then, looking even further afield, in like 10 years' time, what do you want to look back and think of this time and what you've done in it?
I don't really look that far ahead, you know. I'm trying to. I used to do that in the past. Like, I have these like longer goals, but right now, I'm kind of just enjoying what's going on now.
What perspective do you want to have from then? Like, I don't want you to sort of think of what you want to achieve in that time, but maybe just if you were, like, because you're like thinking about what you've achieved in the past and maybe things that have gone wrong.
Yeah.
What point of view do you want to have on this period of your life?
In terms of what's actually done, I don't really know. But I will say this. So when I cross a finish line of a race, and there's a video of me when I finished Dubai Marathon, when I go across that line, I want to know that I gave it everything. Like,
Yeah.
I want to empty the tank. Like, I want to be dead once I've crossed that line. I want to know that no matter what the time is, I left everything out there. There was nothing else that I could have done. So going forward in 10 years, or if we talk about a longer time frame, like when I go past the finish line of life, when I can't do this anymore, I want to look back and say, you know what, I really did my best there. I tried really hard. I left no stone unturned and I really got after it. So yeah, it's more in terms of like effort for me, like how much I put into it rather than actually what the goals were. If I know that I've tried my best and that I've done everything that I could, then yeah, that's going to be a win for me. So that's what I'm trying to do every day, man. Just
I think that's the best goal
trying to get
have,
after
really.
every day.
And that sort of leads me into my final question that we ask everyone on the podcast. What's your best advice to someone who says, I can never do that? I can't even run for the bus.
You know what? It's so funny that that's your kind of catchphrase on this podcast, because that is exactly the words that I used to use. Like that actual phrase, I can't even run for the bus. I remember we had a WhatsApp group of like people that were involved in our business and we were trying to break America at the time. There was a WhatsApp group. Everyone was running and stuff.
Yeah.
Those were exactly the words that I wrote on that group. I was like, sorry guys, that sounds great. I can't even run for the bus.
Yeah.
And that was literally the point where I was at. And that you don't have to start off by doing 100 miler, but you can just start off by walking a mile or by running around the block. Like I stress this every single time. There is nothing different about me. There is nothing special about me. This is in everyone. Anyone can go out there and do this. And all it takes is effort. Like anyone that wants to get to this point, anyone who wants to run a marathon, anyone who wants to run an ultra, they can do it. It's not going to maybe take a day, but if you show up every day and you put the effort in, you're going to get there. You're going to get there one way or another. And it might not be straight away, or it might not be in the time frame that you think, but you're going to get there one way or another if you keep showing up. So if that's you, which that was me as well, just keep showing up and something's going to happen for sure, because effort is the biggest currency that we have. You put in effort. It's what I try to tell my kids as well all the time, is that I don't care about the time. I don't care about if you win or lose. I just want to see that effort, because effort is something like we all can't be Kipchoge, or we all can't be LeBron James, because there are certain limitations, but everyone can show up and give effort. There's a lot more in the tank than we think.
Definitely. And trying your best can lead you to places you just couldn't even imagine, right?
I've got nothing going for me, Ben. I've got no talent. I'm not very, trust me, I'm not very smart. I'm sitting here. The only thing that has got me here to this point today is literally effort, literally by trying to work harder than everyone else. That is the only thing that I've done. So, and as I said, that's available to everyone. Everyone can work hard. Everyone can do it. So I don't want to sound cliche and say everyone can do it, but it really is true. Everyone can put in the effort.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And honestly, thank you, mate, for coming on today, because it's super inspiring, and I'm very excited to see what you're going to do this weekend.
I appreciate it, man. Well, I'm going to empty the tank for sure. I don't know if I'm going to get the time. I hope I will, but yeah, I'm going to go over that finish line. You can do is try your best, right? Yeah. That's what you can do. Exactly.
Thank you, mate.
Appreciate it, man.
Ahead of the London Marathon this weekend, a few friends of the show have sent us their messages about what they're most excited for. First up is Rob Doughto.
Man, the London Marathon is going to be the fastest marathon in history. There has never been a faster field of elite runners, and 87 people going for Guinness World Records. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Just a flying day, and on course, it's going to be absolute magic. I always look forward to going over the Tower Bridge. There's nothing quite like it. It's really the beginning of the race. You're just about to get into halfway, and the energy there is really, really unique. So that's a huge highlight. And then taking that right turn past Buckingham Palace and coming down, looking at the finish line, seeing all the flags, that is a truly special moment, finishing the London Marathon.
Hi, my name's Sally Orange, and on Sunday I'm going to be taking on my 86th marathon, and it'll be my 14th London. London is the best marathon in the whole world. What I love about it most is the spirit, the community, the camaraderie that there is between supporters and runners, between themselves and between each other. It might not be my first marathon, but for so many people, they're taking themselves out of their comfort zone for the first time. And I love seeing their faces when they cross the finish line, and are just so proud of themselves, and their families are proud of them and everything that they've achieved and that the money that they've raised. So yeah, really, really looking forward to it.
London Marathon 2025, what can I say? I cannot wait for this weekend. This has probably been one of my biggest training blocks ever. I've never trained so hard for something in my life, so I'm expecting big things this weekend, but I'm still going to go out there, have an amazing time. This will be my 12th marathon, which is crazy to me, and I'm happy to be spending it in London, obviously my hometown, where I grew up, where I started running, and probably one of the best marathons in the world. So getting out there on Sunday, putting everything into that run, making sure that, you know what, even when the brain's like, stop, I keep going. Simple as. The crowds are going to be amazing. Seeing all the run crews that we know from London will be amazing. And just making sure that we're putting one foot in front of the other. Main thing, enjoy the process, enjoy the moment. So that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend. Boom!
Thank you so much to all of you, and the best of luck this weekend. I'll be out there on the streets of London cheering you and everybody else on. Thank you for listening to this episode of Running for the Bus, presented by BKDMC. Thank you to our guest today, Evren Ozka, our surprise guests, Runner, the Podcast Room, and Vela Forte for their support. In the next episode, we'll be checking in with our deliriously mad challenger to see how training is going ahead of their big race. You can get 2 weeks free runner coaching using the code BKDMC. And you'll also get 30% off of Vela Forte with the code RFTB30. Head to the BKDMC Instant now to find the Tread playlist, the Rookie Runners training plan, information on how to become a deliriously mad challenger, and lots more. If you've enjoyed the show, well, what are you waiting for? Hit follow and you'll be notified every time a new episode drops. We'd also love to hear from you, so drop us a message or leave a review. See you next time on Running for the Bus, where you can listen and watch on the run, on the bus, or whilst you're running for it.